Time now for the Nick Hart Show, our weekly chat with the Gibson Southern Titans head football coach. The Nick Hart Show on 89.1 The Bash is made possible by Brett's Car Care, Chips, Sell My Tees, Cox Family Eye Care PC, Daylight Land Management, Du Bois County Garage Doors Incorporated, Duke Energy, Fort Branch Dairy Queen, Gerald and Trudy Bledsoe, Hobb Range Hood Company, Hobstadt Summerfest, Hydorn Construction, Hilliard Lions, Matt Monroe, in memory of Darwin and Eric Kalis, Johnson Commercial Mowing, Julia's School of Dance, Kathy Solman Photography, Kiesel Enterprises Incorporated, Kissel Farms Incorporated, Lewis Plumbing and Heating, Make Your Mark, Mayflower Gardens and Gifts, MyTech Systems, Whole Concrete Construction, Pro Rehab, Progressive Health Rehabilitation and Orthopedic Associates, Roberts Boring, Trenching and Excavating LLC, Sandy's Pizza, Schellers Carriage Inn, Scotty's Lawn Equipment, South Gibson Grain, 10 Barge Seed, Trapping and Removal of Animal Pest, Titan Youth Football League, United Fidelity Bank, at Mickle of Agrigold, and by Ziliac Enterprises. Now, the Nick Hart Show on 89.1 The Bash.
Welcome to the Nick Hart Show. I am Bob Bowser, and joining me is head coach of the Gibson Southern Titans, Nick Hart. And coach, your Titans are now 7-2 overall, 6-1 in the Pocket Athletic Conference play after defeating Southridge on Friday night, 22-21 in a game of the ages, you could almost state. I mean, that's one of those games that you will never, ever forget. And I'm 50 years old now, and I'll never forget it in the few years that I've got left. But holy cow, what a huge comeback victory for your ball club.
Yeah, it was huge. A bunch of guys made big plays there down the stretch. And, I think that's, winning a game like that, week 9, to carry that momentum into the playoffs, I think is a huge thing for our football team.
Well, and then looking at some of the individual and team statistics here, let's start off with some team stats. This just amazes me. The number of plays run in this ball game, there were a total of 130 plays. Your team had 65, Southridge had 65. That's very unusual.
Very.
And then total offense, your Titans had 395 yards of offense, 241 for Southridge. Rushing yards, 124 for the Titans, 148 for Southridge. Passing yards, your ball club had 271, while Southridge had 93 yards. The turnover game, though, 2 turnovers for the Titans, while Southridge had 1 turnover. And what makes this ball game even more special is how they come back and win, but at the same time, this is a ball game where you had 2 turnovers, multiple turnovers, and you won, and that's the first time this year that that's happened.
Yeah, we've been turnover free in all of our other wins. So there's a lot of great things about Friday night, and I think we talked post game. There's things we can certainly do better, but this team's got a lot of heart and a lot of fight, and then in several games this year we've had a chance. Where I think a lot of teams probably would have packed it in and called it a night, and this team. Is going to compete every single snap. Well,
hey, you can take your give me my beating now, because obviously I was one of those on air that night that I just didn't see any way mathematically calculating the time left and no timeouts left, and then we have the sack on 3rd down. I'm sitting there and I'm like, there's just no way. No, this game's over. I mean, I'm sitting there saying this game's over, and then I about had a stroke with the 88-yard touchdown reception as Seth DeLong is flying down, and then the great play call that you had on the 2-point conversion, and Ben Butler made an awesome decision and was just a fantastic athlete getting into the end zone.
Yeah, it's great execution by Ben. Alex Breivogel made a big block for him, but a great decision because they all ran with Brady on the trick play, and he did a great job of tucking it up and going and getting the 3 yards.
Now, looking at the 3rd down conversions for the team, 6 for 12, 50%. 6 for 12, 50%. On a night when, boy, I tell you, I thought offensively we just weren't able to get in the rhythm most of the night. There was a few drives where the rhythm was there, but most of the night we just kind of lacked that rhythm. 6 for 12 you'll take, but at the same time, I think you'd like to see 9 for 12.
Yeah, 9 for 12 would be great. I thought, we'll talk more, but I thought offensively, man, we moved the ball pretty well. I thought we got inside the 33 times and didn't score, and that's a recipe for disaster. And we kind of pulled one out there at the end, regardless of that. But against a really good defense that hasn't given up a lot of points, I thought we moved the ball pretty well. We almost have 400 yards of offense. It was we got to do a lot better at finishing off drives. In the first half, we have 2 empty trips. We throw the pick in the end zone, miss a field goal. Those are a lot of points left on the board. They're just in the first half, and then we had another one. We got backed up by a penalty in the second half once we got inside the 30 or the 20. But a couple of missed opportunities, and we haven't done a great job of capitalizing whenever we get down in that scoring zone.
Well, and then, of course, looking at some of the individual stats here, Brady Allen passing was 17 for 33, 271 yards. He had 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Rushing stats, Mitchell Spindler, again, a big night out of Mitchell. Old reliable, 23 carries for 144 yards. Ben Butler had a carry for 2 yards. Brady Allen, there was some sack yardage in there. He had 8 attempts for a negative 22 yards. So, but Mitchell Spindler, big night on the ground.
Huge night. And our offensive line did a good job. We talked last week, on the radio show there, they've always kind of stacked the box against us and played man. They actually kind of did the opposite this year. They emptied out the box. So, I thought our offensive line and Mitchell did a good job of executing.
Well, and then receiving stats, Seth DeLong had 6 receptions for 190 yards and the biggest touchdown of his high school career so far. I expect to see a few more of those as we go down the weeks here. Logan Murphin had 4 receptions for 28 yards and a touchdown. Adam May with 2 receptions for 25 yards and a touchdown. Ben Butler had 4 receptions for 18 yards, and Mitchell Spindler had 1 reception for 10 yards. So, again, 5 different guys touching the football.
Yeah, I thought our receivers played pretty well, and, I thought one of the biggest plays of the game, and then they answered with a big play of their own on the kickoff return. But, the screen to Adam May to make it 7-7, our guys did a great job of blocking for him on that screen and him finding the end zone. That was a big play of the game to kind of get us, rolling a little bit. But I thought our receivers did a good job.
Well, let's go over now to the defensive side, where there's 3 guys on this list that had some big nights when it comes to tackling. But then again, you're talking about a run-based ball club in Southridge. And if everybody's playing their responsibility, these 3 guys probably should be coming up with some tackles. Carter Green leading the way. He had 9 solo, 4 assists. Colton Stefanich had 9 solo, 4 assists, and a tackle for loss. And Max Beatles had 7 solo, 6 assists, and a tackle for loss. Those 3 guys, they were in on 13 tackles apiece. That's not leaving many tackles left for everybody else. But let's go down through the tackles for loss. Colton Stefanich had 1. Max Beatles had 1. Noah Bryant had 1. Sterling Stalker had a tackle for loss. Ben Butler had a tackle for loss. Tanner Moskos had a tackle for loss. Aaron Breivogel had 2 of them, and one of them was absolutely phenomenal. Big number 65 come through and met Calvert, their running back, toe-to-toe right there. Matter of fact, they lost a yard on that play. That was a huge play in the first half.
Yeah, and Calvert's one of the best football players we've played against in the past few years on both sides of the ball. He ran the ball very well, and he's tough at linebacker too. A couple times we thought we had creases and stuff, and he comes off and makes the play. He's a heck of a football player. But Aaron did a great job. That goal line stand in the first half where he kind of capped it off on 4th down was huge. And he came over and played on defense really well.
All right, so let's take a quick break here. When we come back, we will get your overall thoughts from Game 9 concerning the offense, defense, and special teams. But right now, we need to thank the folks that make the Nick Hart Show possible on 89.1 The Bash.
The Nick Hart Show is brought to you by Hilliard Lyons and Matt Monroe. Hydorn Construction, Hobstadt Summerfest, Hobb Range Hood Company, Gerald and Trudy Bledsoe, Fort Branch Dairy Queen, Duke Energy, Du Bois County Garage Doors Incorporated, Daylight Land Management, Cox Family Eye Care PC, Chips, Sell My Tees, Brett's Car Care, and Matt Mickle of Agrigold.
Is your passion sports, healthcare, agriculture, food, people, coffee? Well, just what do all these have in common? Well, how about sales, accounting, economics, management, marketing, customer service, and a whole lot more? With such a wide range of opportunities and interests, there's a career for everyone. Real-world discussions and a relaxed atmosphere of student-instructor interaction is your path to success with the Marketing Business Management degree at Wabash Valley College. For more information, contact WVC today at 618-262-8641 or visit iecc.edu/WVC.
Thank you for listening to 89.1 The Bash and the Nick Hart Show. All right, Coach, let's start with your thoughts. First off with the offense from Week 9 against Southridge.
I thought there was highs and lows. The last 4 minutes of the game is about as good as, or I guess it'd be 5 or 6, but, the drive we went on to make it, 21-14 was, in precision. I think we went 80 yards in like 58 seconds or something. It was phenomenal. Then obviously, the big play at the end of the game. To get 400 yards against a defense like Southridge is really good. Our execution just has to be better. We kind of talked about it earlier. 3 empty trips inside the 30. We got to get points on those drives, and a couple drives in the first half where we just kind of couldn't get the rhythm going and getting it going. So, I think when you have the talent our offense does, you have really high expectations. I think a lot of people would take the performance that we had against a very good Southridge defense, but I think our execution level can be a lot higher. And again, a little bit of it was a little bit of a curveball of how they played us, and it took us a little bit longer to adjust than what I would have liked. But we see that all the time. People play us so much differently than they play everybody else. I think that the execution just has to continue to go up. To get to where we need to be offensively.
Well, and sitting there offensively too. I mean, with the running game, that offensive line made a lot of huge holes. But then there was also the concerns of sometimes it felt like we were leaking like a sieve with on the pass blocking because Brady was being chased out of the pocket way too many times.
Yeah, a little bit of that was, again, not knowing what they were going to do. They almost kind of went dime against us, if you will. Their outside linebackers were almost playing DN to get speed and get after the passer, and then they brought more athletes in to play outside linebacker. So that was part of the reason why we ran the ball so efficiently. Typically we don't run the ball very well against Southridge because of how they play us. So they had some real speed dudes coming off the edge, and if we were, to play them again, and hopefully we have that opportunity down the road. But I think we do some different things protection-wise to help counter that and give our tackles a little bit of help with the speed that was coming off the edge.
Well, one of those coming right up the middle one time was Calvert. Yeah. I remember this play big time. Mitchell Spindler made a great job of picking up that blitz because Calvert was going 100 miles an hour, and there was one heck of a collision that really knocked Mitchell backwards just a little bit, but Mitchell did his job by sticking in there and protecting Brady.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things we probably never even talked about Mitchell because, he runs the ball so well. He's a threat in the passing game. But he does an excellent job in blitz pickup in his role in pass protection. He's one of the best backs we've ever had at doing that, and he does a phenomenal job.
Well, let's go over now to the defensive side because, in all honesty, it was a slugfest in the first half. 26 seconds left in the first half is when they scored, but defensively, your group did a phenomenal job. Had a goal line stand, and boy, they really kept that running game in check.
I thought our defense was great. Gave up the touchdown in the first half, but then their 2 touchdowns in the second half, they started on the 5-yard line off a kickoff return, and then the ensuing drive, where the ball go through the hands and the interception goes down to I think they started on the 8. So their 2 touchdown drives, they started inside the 10-yard line in the second half. So I thought our defense did a great job. They were phenomenal. most of the night. That they had that one drive where they took away about half the fourth quarter. We ended up making them punt. But other than that, I thought our defense was great. They were put in some bad positions and played well enough to give us a chance to win it.
Well, and I still sit here, and that Aaron Breivogel, I think it's Aaron, right?
Yeah.
Boy, that hit right there on the goal line stand was awesome because Southridge broke the huddle quickly, sprinted up to the line because they wanted to catch you guys trying to move around defensively to set up. And, man, he just come through there and said, no, it's lunchtime.
Yeah, Aaron made a great play. It was a great job. We kind of – when they broke the huddle quick, they liked getting into that set. So it was a great job by our linebackers. We were lined up right and in the position that we needed to be. And then, Aaron made the play. So, it was great execution all around, and Aaron finished it off.
Well, and then defensively, too, you could see the halftime adjustments made. In the first half, they were having some success running that jet sweep around, and boy, they did a beautiful job of blocking it, folding in the defense in order to give that outside edge. But in the second half, the guys kept that outside arm free, and it made a world of difference on that jet sweep.
Yeah, it did. I thought in the second half especially we did a great job against it and really kind of strung it out and made it bounce. And I think that was kind of the biggest thing. We started making a dent instead of catching them. But, it's a tough offense to defend, and I thought our defense did a great job.
Well, let's go now to the third and final phase with the special teams. Obviously, we missed a 33-yard field goal attempt just to the left. Then the kickoff return. That was the real heartbreaker of the night for the special teams, was the simple fact that your offense just got themselves 7 points. Needed the defense to step up and make a stop, which they had been doing all night long. Mm-hmm. And then they get that return down to the 5 or 6 yard line. And that hurt.
That was a huge play because I kind of thought that time you could kind of feel the momentum shift. They got the ball at half. I'm pretty sure they went 3 and out.
3 and out.
And we went right down and scored to make it 7-7. And you could just kind of, it's kind of, football's a weird game. You can just kind of feel those things. And you kind of felt like maybe we were going to start taking control of the game, and then and credit to them, they made a heck of a play, and we got to be better in our coverage, but they made a heck of a play, and kind of got that momentum, and then it kind of you felt it shift back a little bit, so that was a huge play in the game. So I think for the first time this year, our special teams weren't great. I think that's kind of that's been probably our most consistent unit throughout the year. We had the big punt, that pinned them down at like the 2 yard line. That was a huge play. Great punt by Logan, and then Tucker Bowes got down there and knocked it back into the field of play, and we were able to cover it up. That was a big play to keep them pinned down there.
Well, and boy, on their first 2 punts of the night for Southridge, I thought, I'm sitting there, I'm getting all excited. I've got this other radio crew sitting right next to us for Southridge, and I'm getting too loud, I felt, because holy cow, I thought we were going to take it right off of his foot.
Yeah, we checked after the game. Our guys don't have holes in their hands. It seemed like we were right there. We just weren't able to get it. But it was a great job by our punt block unit because we put a lot of pressure on them and got really close a couple of times.
All right, well, Coach, we need to thank some of the supporters of the Nick Hart Show, and when we come back, we'll take a look around the Pocket Athletic Conference to wrap up the regular season and get prepared for Week 1 of the postseason as you are listening to the Nick Hart Show on 89.1 The Bash.
The Nick Hart Show is brought to you by Pro Rehab, Pole Concrete Construction, MyTech Systems, Mayflower Gardens and Gifts, Make Your Mark, Lewis Plumbing and Heating, Kissel Farms Incorporated, Kiesel Enterprises Incorporated, Kathy Solman Photography, Julia's School of Dance, Johnson Commercial Mowing, and in memory of Darwin and Eric Kalis. The Early Childhood Education program at Wabash Valley College teaches students up-to-date teaching techniques for kids ages 0 through 8, and it prepares them for a wide range of careers. We offer hands-on training with certified facilitators who model teaching and encourage each and every student to learn to their potential as an educator. Come prepare for a career where you can change lives. For more information about the Early Childhood program, contact WVC today at 618-262-8641 or visit www.iecc.edu/WVC.
Welcome back to the Nick Hart Show on 89.1 The Bash. I am Bob Bowser, and joining me as head coach of the Titans, Nick Hart. All right, Coach, let's talk Pocket Athletic Conference here. Starting off this past Friday night, Forest Park at Tell City. How about this Forest Park Rangers Ball Club? 14-0, pitch a shutout in Week 9 to defeat Tell City at Tell City. Tell City hadn't scored in the last 2 games now.
Yeah, and they'll turn back around and play again this week. Just kind of one of the weird things about our playoff system. But, that's a big win for Forest Park. Gets them to 5-4 on the year. And I'm happy for Ross. He's a great dude and works really hard at it. So, it's great to see for him and the program.
Well, then, of course, your Titans defeated Southridge literally in the last seconds of the ball game, 22-21. Heritage Hills at South Spencer, 42-0 was the final score there. Heritage Hills just finally two machine keeps rolling toward playoff time.
Yeah, congratulations to them, conference champs. Obviously well deserved. Kind of ran through the conference. So very well deserving champions.
And then North Posey gets an offensive boost in week number 9 as they traveled up to Pike Central and defeated Pike Central, the Chargers, 61-7.
Yeah, good win for North Posey, and hopefully some momentum going into the tournament.
So the way things ended up for the regular season, Heritage Hills on top, 7-0 in the conference, 9-0 overall. Your Titans ended up 6-1 in the conference for second place, 7-2 overall. Southridge fell to 5-2, 7-2 overall. Then there's Forest Park, 3-4 in the conference, 5-4 overall. Tell City was also 3-4 in the conference, 5-4 overall. North Posey was also 3-4 in the conference, 4-5 overall. South Spencer was 1-6 in conference play, 1-8 overall. And Pike Central was 0-7 in conference, 0-9 overall. So let's take a look now at week number 1 in the postseason for everybody in the PAC. Starting off here first, let's go with Class 2A first. North Posey is going to travel to Linton. North Posey at 4-5 will be at Linton Stockton, who is 8-1. And Linton Stockton's a pretty good ball club.
Yeah, they're really good. They played Southridge pretty tough early in the year. And North Posey went to Linton a couple years ago, and it was like I think somewhat similar to our game last week, except it kind of like went score really late and kind of a crazy wild game. So Linton's supposedly a really tough place to play. They'll have their work cut out for them, but hope they go up there and do well.
Well, and then the PAC rematch from week number 9, Tell City is at Forest Park, 5-4. This time, instead of playing at Tell City, this week they're playing at the other field. Little home scenario right there on the contract.
Yeah, that would be bizarre to play the same team in back-to-back weeks. So, obviously Forest Park got them in the first game, but football's a weird game. I don't think that's any indication of what necessarily will happen this week. I mean, you see it sometimes. Sometimes it's so different from half to half, and obviously, week to week, and what did they show last week, and all those type of things, kind of come into it. But kind of unfortunate that we're of 2 conference teams, they're going to knock each other out there in the first week.
Well, and then the final one in Class 2A, North Knox is at South Spencer. South Spencer's coming in 1-8. North Knox is 6-3. Still yet, this South Spencer ball club, there's something about them that tells me they got a chance here in this ball game.
Yeah, I hope so. Hopefully they come out and play well and represent the conference.
Now in Class 3A, the only one that's not in Sectional 32 is actually in Sectional 30, where Pike Central will host Brown County. Brown County's 4-5. Pike Central's 0-9. I really don't know what to expect in this ball game.
No, I know they played early. They played like week 1, and obviously Brown County beat them.
Well, that's been a long time ago,
week
man.
Week 1. So, again, things change over the course of time, and hopefully, South Spencer, or I'm sorry, Pike Central can go out and get them one.
All right, so now let's look at sectional 32, which happens to be the sectional that we're in. Heritage Hills is at Corydon Central. Heritage Hills comes in 9-0. Corydon Central is 2-7. When you're looking at the Sagarin ratings, in Class 3A, Heritage Hills is ranked 4th, while Corydon is ranked 50th. So I'm going to have to say PAC in this one, Heritage Hills.
Yeah, I mean, they're just playing so well, and they're clicking.
And then let's go to the bottom part of the bracket because we're going to talk about your ball game, which is in the top. Of course, your Titans taking on the Salem Lions. But let's go to the bottom part of the bracket where it's Mount Vernon 6-3 at Southridge 7-2. Now, looking at the Sagarin ratings here again, Southridge is ranked 11th in Class 3A, while Mount Vernon is ranked 20th. These two ball clubs, while I'm guessing Mount Vernon is more of a spread, pass the ball around kind of offense, Southridge we just saw with their running offense, Southridge is going to be prepared for that.
Yeah. I think that was a good thing for them to play us leading into that game. Mount Vernon's having an excellent year, and Coach Brunson, I know, does a great job. I think that'll be a great game.
Well, and then at the bottom of the bracket, Evansville Bosse is at North Harrison. Bosse is 2-7. North Harrison is 3-5. Sagarin ratings show that Bosse is ranked 36th in 3A, while North Harrison is ranked 45th. I know nothing about North Harrison, quite obviously, and I know even just the only thing I know about Bosse is where they're located. But I'm going to have to say Bosse, coming out of the SIAC, is going to win that ball game.
Yeah, I think they'll have a shot. We saw North Harrison on film getting ready for Salem. They play in the same conference. So, Bosse's got to make a similar trip that we do, to across the state. And, that's, sectionals. But we'll go across the state. They have to do the same thing. I think they handle the trip well and everything. They got a great chance to get a win.
All right, Coach, so there's one more segment to go, which means that it's time to get the listeners ready for Friday night as your team prepares to travel week 1 of the postseason to Salem. But first, let's thank some of the underwriters of the Nick Hart Show on 89.1 The Bash.
The Nick Hart Show is brought to you by Progressive Health Rehabilitation and Orthopedic Associates, Roberts Boring, Trenching, and Excavating, LLC, Sandy's Pizza, Scheller's Carriage Inn, Scotty's Lawn Equipment, South Gibson Grain, 10 Barge Seed, Trapping and Removal of Animal Pest, Titan Youth Football League, United Fidelity Bank, and by Ziliak Enterprises.
Whether you want to be home every night or travel the open road, truck driving is a career that can do that for you. The Commercial Truck Driving Certificate at Wabash Valley College allows individuals to become proficient in the operation of trucks and semi-trailers. This stepping stone allows you to test for the Illinois CDL and DOT certification. For more information, contact Wabash Valley College today at 618-262-8641 or visit iecc.edu/WVC.
Welcome back to the Nick Hart Show right here on 89.1 The Bash, or you may be using the free app to access the show on your cell phone. So, Coach, week 1 of the postseason, your Titans will travel to Salem on Friday night for a 7 p.m. ball game.
7-hour time.
7-hour time, 8 o'clock Eastern time. And we'll have all the action live right here on 89.1 The Bash with pregame at 6:45 p.m. Now, the Salem Lions, they'll enter with a 6-3 record overall. And looking at the Sagarin ratings here, your ball club is ranked 9th in Class 3A, while Salem comes in 33rd in Class 3A. So, looking at this, what do you expect to see from the Lions on offense?
They're a really good team. I think they're 6-3. One of their losses, they didn't have their starting quarterback, who's a whale of a ball player. They're a really good team. Like I kind of talked about with Bosse, we got to handle the trip. It's a long way to go, and got to go over there, handle the trip. And like I've kind of said, and told our kids, it's a long trip. Their field's not in great shape. Yada yada yada. There's a lot of reasons to not play well. you're playing for your season. So none of those things can matter. You got to go out and execute and play well. But offensively, they're a flexbone team. It seems like the past several weeks you could put a recorder, and we've seen plenty of that. But they're a flexbone team, and obviously we got burnt by the flexbone a few weeks ago. I thought we played well against Tell City. So it presents all of those challenges of being option sound and knowing what you're doing. I think what makes them unique out of a flexbone offense is they'll be under center flexbone. They'll do it out of the pistol, some as well. But they like to throw the football, out of their flexbone set. So, I think that kind of creates a different dynamic in how you're trying to defend things, because you have to be accountable. Not that the other teams we've played haven't thrown; they just do it at a higher volume than what a flexbone team typically will do. So, our quarterback's a great player. He's a tough runner. You can tell just kind of that competitive kid. He slings it around really well. They've done a really good job on offense. They'll kind of mix up their formations, the twins over and, all kinds of different looks, kind of like an empty look with the wings. And, they give you some different looks that you got to be prepared for. And, you got to execute. They've moved the ball really well on film, and it'll be a really good challenge for our defense.
All right. So speaking of defense, let's go over now to for the Salem. What are they going to do defensively to try to slow your ball club down?
Well, that's a really good question. I think, and not that they can't stop us, I'm not saying that. I don't know. I'll have to check with the IHSA. It might be against the rules, like once you cross like 231 or something, you head over towards that coordinating area to have more than 2 wide receivers on the field at one time. So we haven't seen them play a lot of spread teams, very few actually. So it's a little bit of a guessing game. They're an odd man front. Obviously you can tell that, but what we're going to see coverage wise, we have some educated guessing. But again, we haven't seen them play a ton of spread, and the teams that have gotten in the spread, were in double tied or something like that before that, and then they got in the spread. Well, you're going to play them probably a little bit differently than you are a team that's going to live in the spread. We're going to have to kind of adjust on the fly to what we see, and I think we get used to in Indiana playing in these sectionals, and you see the same teams over and over again. You kind of know what to expect. We're both from Illinois originally, and and this is kind of part of the playoffs. There, you go see different people, and you don't really kind of know what you're getting into till you get there. You obviously have film. And RJ and I have known each other. RJ Hartsfield, their coach, and I have known each other forever, and we trade a lot of film. So we didn't have to go snooping around trying to bag it from conference opponents and stuff. So. We've seen a lot of them. We just haven't seen them play a team like us. So I think there's a little bit of benefit to that. It kind of, as a coach, you want to be prepared, but I think there's a little bit of benefit as they haven't seen somebody play an offensive style, like ours. I think we'll see, a lot of 2-eye safety, and they're going to be an odd man front. And, we have a general idea of what we're going to see, but, specifically, we won't really know until we, 7 o'clock on Friday night. But, we got a good idea and what we're going to practice, against and prepare for throughout the week.
All right, so let's go over to special teams. What have you seen on film regarding their kicking game?
Really solid on kickoff. They'll mix it up. They'll kick it deep, pooches, squibs. Keep you on your toes all over the place on it. Make a lot of their field goals. They are extra points. One thing that got us the other night that we got to be prepared for this week that they do a lot. They shoot their hands down on the extra point, try and get you to jump, and then they'll go for 2.
The old Dallas Cowboys thing.
Yeah, the old Dallas Cowboy thing that is supposed to be illegal now, but doesn't always seem to get called that way. So we got to be prepared for that. With what they do. Really solid. They haven't punted a ton, in that flexible offense. You kind of move it. You got a chance to go for it on 4th down. So they haven't punted a ton, but they do a good job out of that. They use that shield punt, and, kid does a good job with it. So, really sound, really solid in all their special teams.
All right, Coach. So anything else you'd like to mention this week as we get ready for the postseason?
Yeah, our JV team beat Southridge on Saturday. They finished the season undefeated 8-0. So that was great. Those young guys did a great job, and you get to see them on Friday nights. They come in and do a good job, whenever we've gotten up on people. Freshmen beat Heritage Hills. and our 8th grade beat Heritage Hills, 7th grade lost to Heritage Hills. So a really good week in the program. Some really tough opponents that they went up against and did a great job.
All right, Coach. Well, that's all the time we have for today's show. So good luck on Friday night, and we'll see you after the game on the post-game show. And best of luck to the players. We would like to thank all of you for joining us here on 89.1 The Bash for the Nick Hart Show. And be sure to catch us each week at 7 p.m. on Tuesday night for your look inside Gibson Southern Titans football. Before we sign off, though, we would like to thank all of the supporters of the Nick Hart Show right here on 89.1 The Bash.
The Nick Hart Show has been brought to you by Ziliak Enterprises, United Fidelity Bank, Titan Youth Football League, Trapping and Removal of Animal Pest, Tin Barge Seed, South Gibson Grain, Scotty's Lawn Equipment, Scheller's Carriage Inn, Sandy's Pizza, Roberts Boring, Trenching and Excavating LLC, Progressive Health Rehabilitation and Orthopedic Associates, by Pro Rehab, Pole Concrete Construction, MyTech Systems, Mayflower Gardens and Gifts, Make Your Mark, Lewis Plumbing and Heating, Kissel Farms Incorporated, Kiesel Enterprises Incorporated, Kathy Solman Photography, Julia's School of Dance, Johnson Commercial Mowing, in memory of Darwin and Eric Kalis, Hilliard Lyons, Matt Monroe, Hydorn Construction, Hobstadt Summerfest, Hob Range Hood Company, Gerald and Trudy Bledsoe, Fort Branch Dairy Queen, Duke Energy, Du Bois County Garage Doors Incorporated, Daylight Land Management, Cox Family Eye Care PC, Chips Sell My Teas, Brett's Car Care, and Matt Mickle of AgriGold. The Nick Hart Show is a special production of 89.1 The Bash and the Wabash Valley College Radio, TV, and Digital Media Department.